review podcast, the review podcast.
We're still not great at that.
No,
we're very off, and I'm skipping biddly-dee-dee-in, and you're just like,
I just do what I want.
Yeah,
I've always been that way.
Welcome to the review podcast, where we review movies. Double entendre there.
Yeah, we've seen them before, and then we watch them again, and then we review them. So we review the review.
My name is Anthony, and I'm sitting here with my co-host,
Brie.
It's Brie. Hi, Brie. How are you today? It's been a little while since we've actually sat down in the studio and recorded a little bit. So how are you doing?
I've been better.
Yeah, it's been one of those few weeks. So when the last episode that we dropped was Jurassic Park 2. However,
I was the last one
that was the last one we recorded, but it's been, I don't know what, 4-ish weeks since we've really recorded. And
call me out right there.
No, it's not you, it's our schedules. We were just coming off of Christmas break and getting back into the classrooms and everything, and then we got hit with a winter storm, and we had some extracurriculars that we had to do, so we've been busy, to say the least.
Yeah. And it's just, we don't get time at all, ever, to just sit down and relax.
No, I mean, we've been seeing movies, right?
Mm-hmm. How are we going to review movies if we don't see them the first time?
Right, yeah. So, what have we seen in the theaters recently? We saw Jackass the other day.
Hilarious.
And wild, that movie did not get an NC-17 rating. The MPAA must really love those guys, because
oh yeah, I seen too much.
There's too much. Well, I mean, I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable. I just watch movies to watch movies. But Brie was at certain points sitting in that movie visibly uncomfortable, but still enjoying your experience.
Well, that's because even though I am very liberally minded, I very things of the sexual nature make me uncomfortable. They always have.
Right.
I don't like to talk about it. I don't like to watch it.
And there's just one dude in the movie. Chris Pontius is just
he never puts it away.
Yeah, he's the pee-pee guy.
Yeah. That's all he does. It's literally all he does.
That's his whole shtick. It's his whole shtick, Brie. Party boy.
That's the only thing he does.
What else did we see? We saw Scream 5
since we
last recorded. We'll get into the Scream movies. Kaido on the sticks. Kaido is here. You may have heard him just bark right now. He
want his ball.
He's up our butts. He's really up our butts today, and we've been trying to tire him out and make sure that he's chill for our recording of the podcast, and he is not. No. So he's just going to be...
I hope you enjoy the light sounds of a ball hitting the floor every 5 minutes.
Yeah. Great. So, we're doing good, and we're ready to continue on and talk about our Halloween franchise, because, boy, it's been a while since... After Halloween 6, Brie, we had to take a break.
We had to pump out some Jurassic Park, which our Jurassic Park stuff is still up because... we
just didn't change it.
Yeah. But look how cute all the dinosaurs are. So they can stay. Yeah.
So, I mean, at Halloween 6, I don't like to poop on movies, because I was just talking about this the other day, where, there's podcasts out there that are very popular that we listen to, that it's it's funny when they make fun of movies, but we both enjoy movies and are passionate about them so much that it's I don't want to poo-poo on movies. As I'll critique a movie, but I'm not gonna make fun of a movie.
But is Halloween 6 something that you should watch?
I would say give it a watch for the shits and gigs,
But would you give it a review?
Would I give it a review? Oh,
no.
I gave that one an oh brother.
I give this one a oh. Okay.
So here we are, Brie. Here we are talking about the next film in our franchise. I know I've been hitting this table so much that...
That's my job.
Man, things look like they're about to fall off this freaking table. I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what.
So we are moving on to the next film in our Halloween franchise, which is Halloween H20, directed by Steve Miner, written by Robert Sapia, and if I pronounce that name correctly, Robert Zapia, and an uncredited script writing by Kevin Williamson, the Scream guy. He's the guy that wrote Scream. He wrote Dawson's Creek as well. Vampire Diaries, Kevin Williamson is attached to that as well. And Brie loves her some Vampire Diaries.
See, I have a complicated relationship with Vampire Diaries because I was reading the books and they're so different than the show. Because it's just like Game of Thrones. You can't do exactly what is in the books because, like, why watch it?
Were the books and Vampire Diaries moving like Game of Thrones, where like they were still being written while the movie or the TV show is being filmed? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Are you okay? You hit your head.
Kaido hit his head. Oh, he's a good boy.
And they changed. What bothered me right off the bat, because I started watching it with my mom, because I do everything. The Vampire Diaries.
Okay, yeah.
Because we watched everything vampire together, like True Blood, which
True Blood with your mom,
with my mom and my dad.
Oh, awkward.
What an awkward.
Give that one an awkward.
But yeah, so like I would watch vampire stuff with my mom all the time. So yeah, they changed the name of the town. It's like Mystic Falls in the show, but in the book it's called Fells Church.
What a weird name change. Why did they do that?
I don't know. I've tried to figure out why they would change it. I just don't know.
Sure. Anyway, Kevin Williamson did a script treatment for this movie. He didn't write the script, but he did like a little story treatment. And by the time the movie actually got made, it was so far removed from what Kevin Williamson had come up with initially that the Writers Guild of America did not give him writing credit on this. However, he still came on as, an advisor, a supervisor, and molded this movie to be what it is, which is really why it has such heavy vibes of Scream, is because like they got the Scream guy. He's the Scream guy. You could have got like, so Wes Craven like is the Scream guy, but Kevin Williamson, like Brie, is the Scream guy. He is Scream. He's the Scream. So
you just Scream.
He's the Scream. So the movie is like Halloween H20 is very, very, very much in the mold of Scream because, well, we're in 1998. Scream is a wild success at this point, and now we want to make movies that are similar to Scream because Scream made a lot of money, right? So what do? You get the guy who wrote Scream to come on board on this movie. The movie where, who comes back, Brie? Pause. Dramatic pause.
Dramatic pause. Michael is back again.
No, not Michael. Jamie Lee Curtis is back. You did not know what I was going for at all.
No! I did not read your mind.
Who's back? Michael. Oh, no shit. Michael's back.
Michael is back again. Up to no good.
So Jamie Lee Curtis is back in this one, and she wanted to come back. She tried to get John Carpenter and Deborah Hill back, but rumor has it that Carpenter asked for like an outrageous demand.
Wouldn't you?
He asked for $10 million starting for directing H20, and he wanted a contract for 3 movies. So H20 plus 2 more, a guaranteed $10 million each movie.
I mean, if you really don't want to do something, the best way to do that
that's what I was thinking.
Is to get like an insane amount of money.
Yeah, because it's either they tell you no and you don't have to do it, or they give you everything you want and then you do it. So
nothing to lose. Right. Nothing to lose.
So even though Carpenter and Hill did not come back, Jamie Lee Curtis wanted to come back because, we talked about this yesterday. Jamie Lee's history is very ups and downs, right? So Jamie Lee Curtis comes in Halloween 1. She's not a very known actress, but her family is very known. And she really, really, really did not want to be typecast in horror movies because she noticed her mom, Janet Leigh, who starred in Psycho. Janet Leigh, after Psycho, wasn't getting work because everybody wanted to typecast her and she didn't want to be typecast. So she didn't want to end up like Janet Leigh, and thus she ended up like Janet Leigh in a way, where
Like mother, like daughter.
yeah, so she, to get work, gets typecast in horror movies. She becomes the Scream Queen. Then she says, after Halloween 2, I'm not doing horror movies anymore. And she shifts her focus and she shifts the narrative to being a more dramatic or comedic actress, right?
Loved her in Freaky Friday.
Love Freaky Friday. But the 20-year anniversary of Halloween is coming up. And Jaime Lee says, maybe it's time to put this thing to bed. We need to give Laurie Strode closure. And the character deserves that. The fans deserve a good Halloween sequel. Let's come back. So before they start writing Halloween H20, they're in the middle of writing a separate Halloween movie called Halloween: The Two Faces of Evil, which I'm going to hold off talking about because...
The first face mine, the second face Meekles.
Yes. I'm going to hold off talking about that one in particular because we're going to do a whole episode at the end of the Halloween franchise about all of the unmade Halloween movies. And that's a good one. And I want to talk about that one at a greater length. But Robert Zapia, the writer for Two Faces of Evil, was told halfway through writing the script, Jaime Lee's coming back. We need to rework this movie to be, a Jaime Lee Curtis led movie. So he and Kevin Williamson, they kind of reform everything, and we get what we get in Halloween H20. So, Brie, my question to you. What scares you?
What really terrifies me down to my soul? It's anti-maskers. Dude. That's a little
it's
nod.
Too real. It's too real for me.
To in Illinois, if you're following, the courts ruled that school districts can't do mass.
We're recording this in the beginning of February. Things could change by the time this comes out.
Oh yeah, it could always change, but we live in I'm gonna say a very white neighborhood.
No, that's accurate.
So a lot of people feel like they matter more than everybody else, which I think is a typical side effect of whiteness.
Sure.
So they're mad because kids went to school today without wearing masks, and they were sent to the gym, and they didn't get to do school. They didn't
get to school. Yeah.
And I said, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, because the superintendent emailed everybody on Sunday night saying we are still requiring students to wear masks. Mm-hmm. So you want to play the stupid game, you win the stupid prize. And I don't think those kids minded a day of no school.
This very real fear, anti-maskers. That's the fear of dying, right? That's the fear of getting sick. So it reminds me of the Nathan For You episode where Nathan is in charge of running a haunted house, and he's like, what makes people really scared is fear of something real. So they plan this whole haunted house, and in the haunted house, one actor accidentally touches one of the people in the haunted house, and Nathan and his crew make this big deal about how she's got a disease and she might have infected the person in the haunted house, and so they quarantine them and they make them feel like they're in a biohazard thing, and then they're rushing this woman out of the biohazard area, making her believe she's gonna die and that she's sick, and then it's end of the haunted house. It's well, you made it to the end. What did you think?
I'd be so mad. But I guess
scared?
I guess it is a fear of dying. I am still young. I've already had it. I don't want to get it again. I don't want anyone else to go through what I went through. I'm experiencing long COVID side effects of still not having taste and smell all back. Mm-hmm. I have phantom smells.
Smell poop all the time.
Yeah, all the time. And I lost a significant amount of hair, and I continue to lose hair.
Yeah, not great.
No. So I don't want other people to go through that. And, if that means never seeing a kid's face all year, I get to see, if I want to see a kid's face, I'm going to go to lunch, because they get to take their mask off at lunch. But like, I can wait half the day to go see a kid at lunchtime, because I do lunch duty. I'm that one teacher who, you know, you see at recess and lunch and all that stuff, because it's like I got nothing going for me. I might as well do everything.
Sure. Very real fear. Very real fear. Second question I have for you, Brie. Do you have a Brie's treat for us?
Brie's treat, in honor of the later in the film when they steal like all the cafeteria's week worth of food. It's gonna be a little like a bento box meal. So get your bentos out. What you're gonna do is on your bottom bento, we're gonna have some rice, right? We put a salmon on top of the rice with some soy sauce, sriracha, and Kewpie mayo. Delicious. Second part of the bento box, we're gonna have our veggie. So get you some. I mean, I really like broccoli and carrots. If you want to have raw broccoli and carrots with some ranch, and then the top of your bento box, that's where your dessert's gonna be. Get yourself like a couple of cookies.
Get you a cookie.
And enjoy your.
What kind of cookie?
It's a twist and shout.
Twist and shout.
Twist and shout. It's a knockoff Oreo.
Oh, the knockoff Oreo. I thought it was a Girl Scout cookie at first.
A twist and shout. Ooh, it is Girl Scout cookie season.
Yeah.
So if I see one of those scouts out girling, I'm gonna ask for some cookies.
We're gonna lead to some heavy debate here. Best Girl Scout cookie.
Tag along.
Bullshit. It's a Thin Mint.
No,
Thin Mint.
It's a tag along.
Thin Mint. Tag
along. It's because you don't like peanut butter. If you liked peanut butter, tag along would be your favorite.
Thin Mint.
I like Thin Mints, but I think a tag along's better cookie. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, okay. So we spent a lot of bullshitting right there. Okay, so we have Halloween H20, once again directed by Steve Miner, written by Kevin Williamson, Robert Sapia. We open Brie on a knife. Shink! It goes shink! Which, how does it make that noise? I don't know, because she literally pulls it up to carve a pumpkin. You'd only make a shink noise if you took the knife out of like a station or you hit the knife on another piece of metal.
True.
Don't know how we make that noise. However, we open on Langdon, Illinois. Odd place to open this movie, right? Didn't you think so?
I was like, where's that?
Where the hell is Langdon, Illinois? Is it, we assume it's a neighboring town from Haddonfield.
I guess.
But like, why not just Haddonfield?
I don't know.
Why did we have to change areas?
Who knows? And we open up on a broken light and like a door ajar. Right.
But who are we introduced to?
We don't know at first.
Yeah, we do. Don't we?
No.
Oh, we remember this movie very differently.
Shut up. At that moment, I would never go into the house.
We do. Yes, because we're introduced to Nurse Marion, who... But from the first two movies.
But don't they say that that's Loomis's nurse later in the...
Oh, you're under the assumption...
It's a different nurse.
No. No, that's the same character from Halloween 1 and 2.
Are you sure?
Yes.
She looks different.
Well, she's older. 20 years older.
But...
H2O, Brie. 20 years.
I disagree.
You disagree? It's the same care. Why else would she have Loomis's stuff?
Because why would a nurse taking care of an old person have his stuff?
That's not... No, that was the nurse he worked with. You remember he was in the car with her at the beginning of Halloween 1? And then in Halloween 2, she's the one that comes and tells Loomis... Or Halloween 2. She's the one that comes and tells Loomis that Michael's Laurie's brother. And she's like, the marshals are here waiting for you.
Okay, whatever. Let's move on. So, broken light, open door. I said, call police. I would have noped out.
Oh, yeah. She nopes the F out of there. She does that twice in this opening scene. So, I mean, we got to talk about this opening scene. It's great. Question mark?
I mean, she goes over to the teens.
So, wait. Okay. I got to interject here because she nopes the F out of there, which I wrote down because that's probably the smartest thing any character's done in a Halloween movie thus far, is just gotten the F out. And she goes across the yard to the neighbor's house, which is like this teenager, right, and his friend, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and a guy that looks mysteriously like a Andrew Garfield type. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a punk teenager. He's like, no, I'll take care of,
I saw the teens are pretty nice.
Yeah, he's like, I'll take care of everything, my neighbor wants me to take care of. I'll go intimidate the person that's breaking and entering.
I said I would be scared, but that's just me.
But like, and then the teenagers call the cops, and I'm like, why did she need them to call the cops? Did she just want to be like with other people?
I don't think they had cell phones.
Well, no, that's not. I know that, but why do the kids need to call the cops?
Because she didn't have a phone. She had to go to the house where they had a phone.
She could have used the phone.
I don't know. What do I look like? Wizard?
So, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character goes back to Marion's house, and he's got his hockey stick. First of all, we have to preface this by saying, when he enters that house, it is daylight.
It's broad daylight.
It's broad daylight.
It's broad daylight. It's house, not dusk.
And he's in the house for maybe 15 minutes, and he's walking around, and he's like, I hope you are ready. He's like, I got suspended because I know how to use my stick. And he like whacks the hockey stick on the ground.
And he like goes to the house, a little jumpy. He gets to the kitchen. He steals some brewskis.
Steals some beers.
And
it's like, I like beer.
And then he gets out of the house, right? So
he also sees Marion's office as trash.
Oh yeah, I'm not calling her Marion.
That's her name.
Her office is trash. The nurse, her office is trash. So that's unfortunate. That's where all your stuff be.
Oh, I actually wrote down his line. He's like, I've been suspended 5 times for getting crazy with the stick. And his voice goes up like that. I had to cough after that one. So the office is trash and there's files everywhere. When Jimmy walks outside, it's night. It's nighttime. It's the dead of night.
And I said this happened in the first Halloween movie where Laurie left to go babysitting in broad daylight, got to the house to babysit, and it was like pitch black outside. I'm like, what time zone is this? I'm like, I live in Illinois and it takes a while to get from broad daylight to darkness. So suspicious.
Right. So Marion goes back inside the house and she's like trying to calm down, and she notices that the doors are open, right? Is that what she notices? But she nopes out of there again.
I said I would also yeet myself right out of that house.
She leaves again to go to Jimmy's house because I think she notices the doors are open or something. And if I remember correctly, we watched this movie last afternoon, and it's been a while since we watched it. We're going just based on what our notes say and what the memory is like. But she goes back to Jimmy's house. She opens the door. Jimmy is deed.
He's deed.
He's deed. How does he deed, Brie?
Skate to the face.
Yeah, brutal, right?
Ow.
Like, took the bottom of the hockey skate and just went like right in the face.
It's always been a fear of mine going ice skating.
And then
impaled on my own skate.
And then Marion's like, ah! She screams and she opens the door and she sees, the other kid standing there, but he's like, ugh, got like a dead look on his face, and he just falls forward. He's got a knife in his back, Brie.
And I'm like, oh boy.
It's amazing how Michael planted that at the correct time to know that the kid would fall over.
He's an artiste.
The kid would fall over at the exact time that he wanted him to.
Your boy, he's back, knife in hand.
He looks so okay. We got to mention this at first too. There are 4 different masks used in this movie.
All hideous.
There are 4 different masks used in this movie. In this scene, in this opening scene, they use a mask that is pretty much identical to the mask used in Halloween 6, which I actually liked. that mask. I thought it was probably the scariest one. I think I mentioned that on the Halloween 6 episode. I think it's like the scariest one that we've seen so far, aside from the first movie. The second mask they use is like a very slick white mask with open eye hole. Like the eye holes are too big and the nose is really scrunched up. And then they had to reshoot the movie because they didn't like that mask. And they ended up with the mask that they use for the rest of the movie, which is like the hair is all wild and it's way too tight on the face, so you see Michael's eyes a lot, and I don't like that at all. I gotta tell you, Brie, that took me out of the movie a little bit. Is we're supposed to just see darkness, right? Like that's the whole thing about Michael, is like Loomis goes into this big old speech and they replay the speech in the opening credits. He's like, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, and they focus in on the black eyes in the picture and the drawing that they show of Michael, but he doesn't have like black eyes in any portion of the movie. You see his eyes throughout it all, and it's like the actor who plays Michael always bulges his eyes out, so whenever we see Michael, you see the bulging eyes, and to me it just felt like it was a dude cosplaying Michael. Like, it didn't feel like Michael Myers.
It definitely felt like the mask was too thin and too tight, and like it wasn't the Shatner mask.
I feel I gotta look this up because I feel like there must have been some kind of like rights dispute on the William Shatner likeness, because they've never gotten the mask right since the first movie. They've never gotten it right, and they've changed it and made it look so like this mutated version of Shatner, where it doesn't even really look like how it looked in the beginning.
And there's just something special about the first mask.
Right. The closest that they've got to recreating it is the new ones, but we'll talk about that later on. So everyone's dead. Nurse Marion dies.
Well, I would just like to say, it's like he comes out knife in hand. She's dodging him. She's like, yeah. She's
Ultra instinct.
She's knocking on, the police come. She's knocking on the window. They are incompetent. They don't see anything. They're focused just on the one house. And she even breaks open the window. But yeah, she dies. Direct hit.
You did say direct hit. I read your notes. Her notes do say direct hit, even though she gets her throat slit.
Direct hit. And then he steals a car, and the police don't notice.
Yeah, that was another thing that I was like, so the police are at the house next door, and they don't notice like this car just like leaving the moment that they all pull up. I would be a little suspicious if I was the police.
Also, like, okay, your houses aren't like soundproof.
She was screaming.
I'll tell you, when we first got this dang puppy, I left because we were trying to train him to be away from us because we work all day, and he would be without someone until like 11 o'clock when Anthony's mom comes over. So we have to train him to like go for a certain amount of time without us. He would cry and whine so loud that I could hear him like in our driveway. There's no way these police didn't hear this woman screaming.
Right. And I got to imagine that these windows aren't the most like soundproof windows.
Right.
Because she's able to break it pretty easily.
Yeah, true. I was like, unless they live by an airport, which then you get
you live in suburban Illinois. You ain't anywhere near an airport.
I grew up in a suburban Illinois.
Yeah, but we have to assume that this is like
where we live.
Suburban Illinois.
Yeah, true.
So she gets murked, and she gets murkled, and Michael steals the car, and he's off. Now, mind you, throughout this whole movie, we get no answers to anything. And I love this movie. I think that this is probably one of the better sequels, and I'm really impressed that they actually pulled this one off. But we get no answers to anything. We get no answers as to how Michael comes back after because this is supposed to be a direct continuation of 2, where we disregard 4, 5, and 6. And There's no answer as to how Michael comes back from getting burned alive, why he doesn't have any scars on his hands or his face. He gets shot in both eyes in Halloween 2, yet we see his eyes very clearly in this movie, and there's like no damage at all.
Forget whatever you
where
knew.
he gets the new mask from, why, if it's the old mask, why is it not burnt up? Why is he fixated on mechanic suits? Because he's back to the mechanic suit as well. How he gets to Langdon, Illinois, and what he's been doing for 20 years. Like, what's this guy been up to?
Chilling.
Just chilling? Just vibing?
I'm vibing, sitting in his trailer down by the river.
Down by the river? So there's no answers to anything, and the more I thought about it, the more it reminded me of that Rick and Morty episode I was telling you about yesterday with the cat, where the cat, who's voiced by Matthew Broderick, and he and Jerry go on an adventure, and Jerry keeps asking him, like, why can you talk? And the cat's like, just don't question it. Just don't ask about it. Just have fun. And at one point, Rick is like, so why can't you talk? Or why can you talk? And the cat's like, why do you have to ask questions? Can't you just have fun? He's like, why can't I ask questions and have fun? And I thought of that too. I'm like, so part of me is, in this movie, is just like, stop asking questions, just have fun. And I'm like, but why can't I ask questions and have fun? Well, I think we need to get some closure on this, some explanation. Because if we're disregarding 4, 5, and 6, then it's like, we have to know what this guy's been up to, you know? Well, I guess you don't have to know any of the details, but come on, something's got to give.
True.
True. So there's no answers to anything. We get an opening credits scroll where it's focused in on like newspaper articles. I noticed in there that there are 2 different Haddonfield newspapers, small town, able to carry 2 distinct independent newspaper companies. One is called the Haddonfield News and the other is the Haddonfield Times. One of them gets the date wrong. They say the Halloween massacre originally occurred in 1968. It is not 1968. It's 1960 or 1978. But then they also mention that Laurie Strode went into hiding, or that she died in a car accident, which is a similar explanation to what we get in Halloween 4, right?
And there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
Just you wait.
There's a reason for it. But, which I looked at that and I was like, okay, well, then that means Jamie is like canon, right? But then they never mention Jamie again. We're supposed to be under the impression that Jamie doesn't exist.
I know, universe. But I guess like originally when it was wrote, the first iteration of the script by the Scream guy.
By the Scream, Kevin Williamson wrote the story treatment, and he had
all those movies in there.
He had, yeah, it was a continuation from 6, where later on when we see Laurie, you know, she's teaching a class, an English class, and the kid's giving a book report on like the Haddonfield massacres or something, and the kid talks about how Laurie had a baby and abandoned her baby, and how Jamie just last Halloween was found dead in a barn.
And wouldn't that explain what he's been doing for all those years, assuming that Laurie was dead and going after the daughter, but then somehow finds out that Laurie's not dead and now wants to go after her?
That would make much more sense, Brie. I don't know why they didn't do it. These are the simple things where you can explain without really explaining what was going on.
They don't have like good mind.
Right.
So they do this Laurie nightmare scene. I thought the nightmare scene was really cool.
Yeah, me too.
She wakes up like in a sweat, and I noticed they gave her a scar on her arm.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. You brought that up.
Michael had gotten her in the upper arm. Yeah, they give her a noticeable scar there, and I was like, oh, that's the attention to detail that just makes me
chef's kiss.
Wanna pocket. I was like, oh my goodness, that's such a great detail on that. And it says, you know, it's California.
And
it's Halloween.
Yeah, we have to know it's Halloween, because like why else would be watching this movie?
You open up on this punk kid arguing with his lovely mother.
Well, she wakes up from like
a terror.
Hysteric, and he's like, "Mom, wake up, wake up!" He's shaking her, and he's like, "Do you want some medicine?" She's like, "Yeah, I want medicine." And he goes in to the medicine cabinet, and he sees himself in the mirror, and he's like, "I'm so goddamn tired of this bullshit." And he gives his mom the medicine, and then we get to that kitchen scene.
Oh my goodness! So he is having an argument with his mom because he wants to go on this,
This is John.
Yeah,
This
John.
is John Tate.
John's 17 years old. Turned 17 a couple months ago. Dad just sent him a card because dad's a deadbeat. Is not
Dad's
involved.
a deadbeat, and John calls. Lori has changed her name to Carrie Tate, and she's got a kid now. That's the kid, and John is like
a jerk.
Oh, I was like, this kid, you better tread light. Then my kid, tread lightly with what you say. And Lori doesn't even bat an eye because he says some pretty insulting things. Where Lori's like, well, your dad's I wrote down the quote, a chain smoking methadone addict, and then John goes, yeah, and he left you, and I was like, shut up, John.
I'm like, do you know
who the hell are you?
It's like, do you know how hard it is to leave a partner when you're codependent? Because obviously that Lori has PTSD and she's treating it with alcohol, and she married someone who also probably has issues and was treating it with meth.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes like it takes a lot of like work to leave someone like that. And they had a kid together. I mean, sometimes that is enough to keep a parent in it until one of them finally leaves.
And they established too that John's dad is still like kind of in communication with him. Like he sent him a birthday card a couple months late.
It's like late though.
But so dad is not completely out of the picture. It's just like he's just not around.
And he's like, Mom, I want to go to Yosemite. I want to go on this trip. And obviously Lori doesn't want her son out of her sight. She's still
on this day, John, of all days.
Why are you doing this on this day of all days? And he's like, I'm wondering when you're going to see me as a 17-year-old and an adult. And I'm like, 17 is not an adult.
In some countries.
I'm like, well, not in America. We're talking about America. And he still lives with his mom. Mom pays for his schooling. Mom pays for everything. There's a certain amount of respect you give your mother. I'm not saying that what she's doing is right. She obviously is not letting him go because of her own psychological trauma. But John is like being mean about it. Like, you can be upset. You can say it's not fair. You can present your side. But Mom still said no. And she's not only your mother, but she's the principal of the school and in charge of the trip.
Yeah, double whammy.
Double whammy. Then we cut to like John's. He's walking with his friends. I absolutely adore these uniforms.
Oh, like the red coat and tie and like the plaid. Wouldn't they have plaid on?
And there's a sweater version of the uniform that another person in the background wears, and I'm like, I love that even more.
We have uniforms at the school that I work at, but they don't wear like sports coats. You know. I wish that would be kind of cool. I mean, the kids would complain to all hell about it, but
we have uniforms at the school I teach at, but it's just a white shirt and black or blue pants.
Yeah, our boys have to wear shirt and tie and slacks and boat shoes, and the girls get a choice. They can wear a blouse and a skirt, or they can wear like a long sleeve button down and
they can wear a long white shirt or a short sleeve white shirt, and the girls can of course wear skirts, or some of them have like the little overall skirts or dresses with
like the jumpers.
And it's all cute. But
John is aware of the family history.
Yeah, he's aware that his uncle is out. Well, they assume...
So at some point, Lori told John about everything that happened, right?
And it's probably assumed that he knows that his mom probably is not telling the truth about who she is. But
which is different from the original script, because a big part of it was that John was unaware of everything. So that was a major change made between scripts.
Interesting. And I thought Lori did a fantastic job of getting out, and John's like so mad because he's like, like he's dead, Mom, he's dead. And I was like, it all worked out, but unfortunately, this guy is coming. Like,
unfortunately, bad man coming.
I'm like, unfortunately, you're wrong, sir. He is not dead, and he's coming.
There are so many coincidences in this movie where it's like they had to have known that this guy was coming this year of all years and this day of all days, because like, so
I mean, I guess it's assumed that she always has fear around Halloween.
But it's like, this is the year she lets her guard down a little bit more. This is the year she opens up to her boyfriend, which
I think
we'll
it's
get
also,
into.
it's been, 20 years? So 17 years with her son. Nothing's happened. And she's kind of like, maybe I am taking this all out of proportion. Maybe I should listen to my boyfriend, my son, when they say to calm down. It's not going to happen. But she's right.
No, and like that's what confused me in the movie, because I was like, so Laurie's being crazy. She's being crazy. She's being crazy. But God damn it, she's right. And
she has a reason to be afraid.
She's right. She ends up being right. John ends up being wrong. And it's like, I was like, so is she validated in everything? Or like, what kind of message are we trying to send? Are you supposed to be getting over your trauma? Or are you...
Let your trauma consume your life, because you are eventually going to be right.
Eventually, it'll be right, yeah.
But then I think it cuts to like Michael.
John's haircut is stupid, by the way.
I hate his hair.
Stupid.
I laughed at several portraits of him around the school.
You audibly laughed when they showed his portrait.
Because he just looks dumb.
Yeah. It said stupid hair. It's like an uneven haircut. It's like he did it. Like he looked in the mirror.
It looks like a boy went like this with his hair and then was like,
yeah.
Scissors!
It's like, I got scissors now. Look at it. Yeah.
It's like when Anthony was little and he gave himself a haircut.
Yeah, story time. Story time with Anthony. When I was in kindergarten, or first grade, I got dared to cut my hair. So I said, you know what? Screw you guys. And I took a lock of my hair and I just went, chip. And my teacher saw it and was like, oh, hell no. And I got in trouble.
I'm that teacher.
She sent me home with a lock of hair in an envelope. And she's like,
I did the same thing.
Bring this home to your mom. And I said, okay. And then I was never going to do it. And my mom, made dinner that night. And then I was about to get off like scot-free on this case. And then the phone rang, the landline rang, and she answered it. And she looks at me and she goes, oh, hello, Miss So-and-so. And my face drops. My heart drops into my belly. I knew exactly what she was calling about. And she's like, Anthony did what? And I hope she's listening to this. I hope she's listening to this right now, because she can. I will have her on the pod at some point in the future. But I got in so much trouble.
Obviously.
Yeah, I got sent to my room. My parents used to be, and I don't know, this might not come off great, but it's the 90s or the early 2000s. It's still acceptable at that point, I guess. But my parents used to hit me with a paddle sometimes.
It was never acceptable. But we give them a pass because
it was like an apple tree hit the apples with the paddle, but they'd smack my ass with it. And
how was it like to be disciplined like that? Because I never got smacked at all, ever.
Yeah, my mom tried to paddle me, but it was like she couldn't do it hard because she didn't really want to do it. And so I was like, oh, all right.
Dad was like, get over here.
My dad used to whack. Anyway, enough for my
enough about child abuse. Let's move on.
That, but I turned out all right.
Yeah.
Look at me. I love the Halloween movie. I'm a normal man.
He turned out fine. He just has crippling anxiety and a lot of other things that are wrong. Okay, so we cut to like a potty stop on the side of a highway.
Yes. I thought this was one of the cooler scenes in the movie. You did not like this.
The tires are bald. Like it looks like he's been driving this car till it was no longer able to go. I feel like this is the same car from the first movie, which leads me to believe like... No, it's the car he stole.
Is it the car he stole?
Yeah.
It looks a lot like the car from the first movie.
No, it's the car.
Michael has to stop for gas. We talked about this in the first movie.
Well, he obviously had to because he ran these tires down.
Yeah.
That he's had been driving.
He had to have stopped for gas.
And so this like mom and daughter like pull up to the stop. Little girl has to pee.
This is a dirty rest stop. This is a grimy.
It's not even a rest stop because like rest stops have like a vending machine and like places for truckers to like pull over and like sleep. This is just like a toilet on the side of the road. But they go to use the ladies' pisser and it's closed.
It's locked.
I'm like, of course. So they just have to use the boys' like potty, and it's like I'm like I said potty in my notes, but no big deal. But I would have just pissed in the bush.
Yeah. So they go in this grimy, dirty bathroom.
I'll tell you, my butt is not touching anything in a boy's bathroom.
That's what I thought. I was like, this is nasty.
Because I'll tell you what, a boy's bathroom, nastiest place I've ever been.
Can attest, I won't go in there.
I am a first grade teacher, and I'll tell you, I have to do bathroom checks before and after my students go to the bathroom just to make sure we didn't smear feces on the side of the wall.
Has that happened before?
Yes. That's why we now are told we have to check.
Like, that is an oddly specific thing to check for.
I'm just glad I don't have to clean up the feces off the wall. My years of cleaning feces off walls are over, as I'm no longer a custodian
at a community center.
I've had to do that cleanup before. Can attest to terrifying, disgusting, and why?
Why?
And why?
Just why?
Why?
So they're in the girl's in the bathroom, and the mom goes to the next stall because she's got to use the bathroom. And I noticed, I'm gonna get like flagged on YouTube for this one, but on the bathroom door there's graffiti, and I noticed what the graffiti said, and I read it to Brie, and your reaction was nice. It says, for whatever reason, I don't know why it says this, Mario and Luigi suck pee-pee. I wrote it down, and pee-pee is not spelled like P-E-E. It's like the letter P, the letter P. I don't know why the production designer was like, we have to put this on the door. Like, this is graffiti in 1998.
I was just really glad that, like, again, Michael did not kill these two.
Oh, that's such a cool visual, too, of, like, so the woman has her purse on the ground, and it's, like, a very quick, like, it gets snatched.
Yeah, he just snatches it.
It's a very quick snatch, and she, like, freaks out, as one would do normally. Because
then she goes to, like, look through the stall doors, because in America, I don't know why we leave gaps between things that other people can watch us take a shit.
Yeah.
But she sees him through the gap in the stall.
Yeah, and he's just like looking around. That's the one shot in the movie that remains with the white mask with the scrunched up nose. That's the one shot. Jaime Lee Curtis actually vouched unsuccessfully to make that image the poster for the movie. That would have been cool. That would have been really cool. Instead, they went with something that looked like Scream. And you can take a look at that poster on your own. But I thought that was a really cool scene. It's very small. It shows, and we've got multiple scenes in this movie that shows Michael doesn't kill everyone. He has no need to kill the woman and her kid. He just wants the car.
He's on a mission, I think.
And it's like Michael's not going to kill anybody that doesn't get in his way.
And he just let those two be, which he took the keys, left the rest of the contents of her purse. I thought that was kind of considerate.
Yeah,
he dropped the purse. He just took the keys.
Yeah, he dropped the purse. So Michael's
she had
a little
money
considerate
and stuff to get from. I mean, to get someone to pick her up.
It's just much different than the Michael that we've been seeing in these recent movies, where it's like he kills anything that moves. Right? It's just a different Michael Myers, and I don't know which one I like more. That Michael that is stealthy and doesn't kill everything that he sees in his path, or the Michael that's just like, I'm gonna murder everything and I'm gonna have fun doing it. Because I like that, and we'll get into the 2018 version, but like I like that about the 2018 version, that we get that one long shot scene of him just like going around the town. I will talk about that later. Yeah. But it's just a different Michael. It's a different Michael.
And then we get like a cut to like the guidance counselor and
Will Brennan.
And like he's dating
Carrie Tate,
AKA which
Laurie
is Lori.
Strode. Yeah.
They're like,
and then there's an old lady whose job I can't quite figure out.
She's like her assistant.
Like the assistant. And that is Janet Leigh. That's Jamie Lee's mom. So it's nice. And that was Janet Leigh's last theatrical performance. So it's nice that they got to share that together. It's really nice.
So they're making out, and then they're like, lunch, 1 o'clock.
No, not the old lady. Will.
Oh, Will,
the guidance counselor.
Yeah, that was to be assumed.
Well,
and then we cut to like this weird security guard,
played by LL Cool J,
and he's hilarious. He wants to be a writer.
Yeah, Ronnie wants to be an erotic novelist.
And there's one. He's reading this to his wife.
Can you quote it?
And it's like her melon breasts.
Oh, I want to quote it, but I know if any of my students are listening to this, they're gonna capture that audio, so I don't want to do it.
Like, her melon breasts, and then the wife's like,
no, you got to do it the way he does it. Big
melons breasts, and the wife's like, what kind of melons?
She's like, what are they, watermelons? Are they cantaloupes? Like, what are they? And he's like, I don't know, they're melons.
He says, fuck me shit.
I saw you wrote that down on your and you said LOL after that.
I just thought it was funny. The erotic novelist added nothing to the story. Nothing.
And I guess they just like needed something to give him a character, but it like added absolutely nothing.
Because they give you this little insight into the security guard, and then you have Lori's son goes and is like, can you please let us out to go to pick up a gift?
Like, Rodney, just be a bro.
And it's like, and he's like, but dude, like, your mom's already said, like, if I let you out again, like, I'm done.
Like, I get fired.
And he's like, come on. And like, this kid's stupid because mommy is in town too. Like,
yeah, mommy's on a date.
Which I admire her to the 9th degree. She's casually drinking her white wine, Chardonnay, and then her little boyfriend.
I gotta mention this too, not to cut you off, but I think we're moving a little quick here. That people keep running into Lori. Like,
and scaring her to death.
These are the most worthless jump scares because that's all this movie is people running into her like turning around and, oh, you're right behind me. Oh, sorry, Miss Tate, I didn't mean to scare you. Oh, it's okay. That's like 4 different times that happens to Lori in this movie, and it's like I don't know if that's like a quality of life that I want to have, where I just keep running into people like that and just keep getting scared.
Back to the Chardonnay.
the lunch.
She's having lunch. Her boyfriend's like, I'm gonna go take a piss, and she's like, okay. She goes to the waiter. I'm like, I'm gonna need another glass of Chardonnay, and he's looking at her because like she has a full glass of Chardonnay, and she chugs that.
She chugs it and goes, today, please. Then he gives her another one, and she chugs that one.
And I'm like, oh gosh. What an important food group Chardonnay is.
Because she like keeps seeing hallucinations of Michael too.
And then obviously she is dealing with severe like psychiatric like issues. Like she keeps seeing him, she has to blink and like really like force him away. And we'll get into when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But then it cuts to John and his friend. They're stealing from a store. They
shoplifted a bottle of wine.
What wieners?
Yeah.
If you're gonna shoplift something, why a bottle of wine? A bottle of wine's not gonna get you drunk. I mean, a bottle of wine to myself, maybe. Why not shoplift?
Shared amongst 4 people, which they're planning. John and his girlfriend and their 2 friends are planning on skipping Yosemite
because John can't go. The girlfriend can't go because her financial aid fell through because dad hasn't paid it. Mm-hmm. The other 2 can go.
They just choose not
to. They just don't want to because they want to diddle.
Yeah, they all want to like have this romantic evening in the cafeteria and diddle.
Yeah, they want to diddle each other. Ain't no diddling.
And yeah, ain't no diddling. Gotta be careful with that one.
Yeah.
So John runs into his mom, And she's like, what the fuck, John?
She's really mad at him. She's like, you, you're not supposed to be out. You're disobeying the rules of the school. We're just out for lunch. Well, nobody else gets to be out for lunch, John.
Screaming at him.
Yeah,
at this point.
and it's like, and he's like, I'm tired of living my life because this guy, he's dead.
And he says, I wrote the quote. He said, I'm not responsible for you. And you said you don't like John.
I don't.
But I admire this about John. I admire John for this because I think that this is a very mature thing to do for John to say, listen, you can't keep projecting this stuff on me. This is your trauma, not like, don't give it to me.
And I guess I could like him more if she wasn't right.
If she didn't turn out to be right?
Yeah, if she didn't turn out to be right. But it's like,
who was gonna know?
He isn't dead, actually. John, you being a little drama king.
John's like, it's been 20 years. What is he waiting for? Little does he know.
I said, and there he is, Mr. Michael Myers in a car, watching them.
Watching them, yeah.
What a weirdo.
So John and Laurie, they have this, really intense back and forth. I said, eventually Laurie lets John go to Yosemite, but he's still a dickhead.
Yeah, she lets him go because she realizes, after that, I think it was a wake-up call for her. Like, am I being too
Well, and
controlling?
she talks to the guidance counselor. She's like, I think I'm losing John. And the guidance counselor's like, maybe you just need to give him a little freedom, right? Give him a little freedom.
But so Mom lets him go, but he doesn't go anyway because he's a little douche.
And he's like, no, I'm going to act like I'm going to go.
He made a big stink about wanting to go to Yosemite, but now, Mom's letting him go and he's not going to go?
Yeah. So he's lying to her.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, prior to this scene, we get Laurie teaching a class on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
And Molly, John's girlfriend, zones out and looks out the window and sees Michael standing there. Now, this is a continuity error that I picked up on because he's in the school at this point when she sees him. He's past the gates. He's on campus. So one of the next scenes that we get is, and I might be fast forwarding a bit too much here, but for the sake of the continuity error, I'm going to talk about it, is it's dead of night now. The buses leave and Ronnie is keeping guard of the school. LL Cool J's character keeping guard of the school, and he notices a car out front and he goes to check it. There's nothing in there. Michael walks behind him. Michael's plotting to get into the gates. So, and we'll return back to the scene, but I gotta say, so in this case, Michael got into the school, went out of the school to fuck with Ronnie, and got back into the school.
I mean, yeah. After Molly saw Michael, they have some foreshadowing using Frankenstein. Eventually you have to face after everybody was hurt. Then Dr. Frankenstein had to confront his monster. Mm-hmm. And I was like, ooh, foreshadow. And then Mom pulls John aside, says, hey, you can go to Yosemite. He did not count on Mom being cool all of a sudden. And I said, as a parent, I'd be pissed if he didn't get on that bus. And I would have made sure he was on that bus.
Right. Why didn't she see him off?
I would have made sure that. Also, you can't last minute go on a field trip like that.
Well, she's the head mistress.
I know, but you can't, because the lists of who's supposed to be on the bus is there. The chaperones need to know who's actually coming. They need to do a double, triple check. You'd think his name would be on the list, and that they would have had to tell the headmistress, hey, he's not on the bus. Mm-hmm. It's just, that's not how a school's run. And maybe the people who wrote it don't know how a school's run.
Yeah.
Because that would not happen, because that's a lawsuit.
Right. So we then go to the dorms where the guidance counselor, Mr. Brennan, who's also staying behind, He's checking on all of the people that aren't going to Yosemite, and he checks in on the girls' dorm.
And I thought that was weird to have
was weird too.
Like a male teacher going and checking on the female's dorm. It's weird.
We were just having this conversation the other day where it's like, as a male teacher, like I kind of know my boundaries in a sense, where it's like
walking into two women's place where they sleep. Not appropriate.
The girls' dormitory. As a male teacher, I probably wouldn't do that.
It's not even the dormitory. He goes into their room in the door. Like, that's inappropriate. Like, if you knock on the door, you get girls safe. You got everything you need.
But he knocks and then he opens. He doesn't even wait for them to say, come in.
And like, they might be changing. Like,
you don't know that.
You don't know what's going on in there. And I just think it was inappropriate. A female teacher should have checked on the girls.
I agree with that. As a male teacher, I agree with that. We were having the conversation the other day of like, as a male teacher with our dress code the way it is, it's like I could tell the girls who wear their skirts too short, you gotta make sure that skirt's not short. As a male teacher, though, I know my boundaries. I probably won't say anything, but I'm gonna go get a female teacher that might. And I think that's the more appropriate action to take there, right?
I mean, I teach first graders, so like there is no boundaries. I'm like, hey, buddy, I see your underwear. Pull up your pants.
Well, yeah, different story for you, but
because they're babies, not babies, but they're babies.
As I've said before, it's like I gotta be careful because like sometimes this is not a battle that I want to fight.
I mean, yeah. Then she says, the girl says something wildly inappropriate.
She says something about date rape drugs to the guidance, and the guidance counselor's like, you're being funny. And I was like, no, a girl says that to me. I'm like, why are you telling me this?
Why are you
like, I don't want to hear anything about this. Well, how inappropriate.
And then we cut to Lori.
Oh, can I mention something real quick?
Sure.
In the girls' dorm, they're watching Scream 2. And also written by Kevin Williamson, Scream guy. He's the Scream. Which I'm going to blow your mind. Because I thought about this when I saw the movie. And I was like, okay, so they're watching Scream 2. So Scream 2 implies that there is a Scream 1. Mm-hmm. Scream 1 shows the original Halloween, like on they're watching it on TV. But we're in Halloween H20 watching Scream in a universe where Halloween is a movie there. So what are we to assume?
That in the Scream universe, Halloween is just a movie there.
So they made a movie about...
No, I'm saying that these two exist in opposite universes.
No. But that's confusing.
Think about it. In one universe, it's a movie. In the other universe, it's a movie. It's not real in either universe.
But if they're watching a movie where the thing that happened in real life is a movie, are we to assume that they made a movie off of Laurie Strode's story?
They could have. Very well could have.
Maybe.
We get, though, Laurie is hanging out in her house, and she takes a bottle of vodka out the freezer, and I said vodka's an important food group, just like that, just like her wine at the restaurant. She's a functioning alcoholic. She's getting her. She knows
how to put it in the to put it in the freezer makes it the coldest, and liquor doesn't freeze.
And then like I'm thinking she takes a big gulp.
College move. That's a college move.
Takes a big gulp, and I'm like, you know what? You deserve it. This is like the most stressful day of your year. Just get some vodka. If that's how you get through the day, get through it.
Yeah. So all the kids, John, the girlfriend, and the two friends are in like the school cafeteria.
It's like the basement of the school.
And it's like the basement area in the school cafeteria. And they're making all of this food, which you had mentioned.
Before even that, they have every candle on campus.
Oh my God. There are so many freaking candles. They are going to light
this school on fire.
When did they plan all this?
I don't know.
Like, when did they get all of those candles in one place? When did they light all of this stuff? When did they make all of this food? They had to have eaten the entire, I don't know about eaten, but made the entire week's worth of like cafeteria
Which
food.
is so like rude because they
had so much.
I'm gonna give you a little insight into how schools work. They buy all their food for the week, get it delivered, and put it in freezers, and they make it as the week goes on, and then they rely on another shipment in a week from that day to get another week's worth of food. So eating a whole week's worth of food, that means there's a whole week where nobody has food.
Ridiculous.
We're so
They
selfish.
made so much food.
So selfish. So selfish.
And they made corn on the cob. They made like tater tots. There's like pizza in there. There's like a ton of stuff.
And there's 4 of them.
Yeah. Like no one's going to eat all that food. But they're in this like little basement area. And I wrote that they're listening to Bush, which is like the most 1990s thing ever. They're listening to like Glycerine.
And we get like Jamie and the guidance counselor, Jaime Lee Curtis, Lori, and the guidance counselor are getting a little saucy. And she starts like telling him like the straight,
like, yeah,
her like actual thing. He's like,
story.
Like, I'm not who I say I am. And he's like getting into it.
Like, oh, yeah?
He's like sexy
you?
talking with her. And I'm like, this man is turned on by
and she's
trauma?
like, she's like, all my friends died. And he goes, that sucks.
I'm like, oh my goodness. And she gets like, oh, I need to call John. She gets like this real big need to call John. She goes to call him and
the phone lines are cut.
All the phone lines are cut. She's getting nervous. She checks John's room. She's like, she notices his bag's not packed. She's like, someone didn't go to Yosemite. So where is this guy right now? And I think she knew the phone is dead. He's here. She knew exactly.
That's like his MO, honestly.
Yeah.
Like once he cuts the phone lines,
like no calm. It's not calm time. Like like there's a murder on the loose.
Prior to this, I need to mention this too. Prior to this, before the buses leave, like Laurie's kind of seeing the buses go, and Janet Leigh's character is like leaving the campus for the night. She's saying goodbye to Laurie, and she's like, "Oh, I have a little maternal instinct or whatever." And it's a nice little moment between Jaime Lee Curtis and Janet Leigh, and they play the Psycho music, and she's in the Psycho car. But before that, again, Laurie turns around and is scared by this old woman, and then the woman says, "Oh, well, it's Halloween. Everyone's entitled to one good scare."
Which is a callback to the first movie.
A callback to the first movie. But if I was Laurie, I would be like, okay, Michael's got to be here, because for me to have heard that exact phrase twice in my life is like impossible. Nearly impossible.
And
the
like,
exact phrase.
And she knows there's a murder on the loose.
Yeah.
And then we get, okay, the Charlie, he's like, I'm gonna go grab a wine opener. He's like, I'll be back soon. He goes.
So he drops it down the garbage disposal in the sink. Sure, whatever that was.
Oh, let's do the fork in the garbage disposal. Ding 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 ding. No, you've never. Okay.
No. Anyway, so he puts his hand down the garbage disposal, and
they're faking you out.
It's this like tense moment. Is like, is the garbage disposal going to turn on? And they Chekhov's gun the garbage disposal, and then they never capitalize on it.
No,
there is no garbage disposal
which I'm
kill.
thankful for, because I would probably puke.
There is no garbage disposal kill. He runs into Michael. And by God, Brie, when he runs into Michael and he looks at Michael, it's the goddamn CGI mask.
Oh, and I wrote down,
it's the fourth mask that's used.
I said, this is the worst mask of them all.
It's the CGI mask. It's the one scene that they couldn't reshoot, and they had to use a CGI mask, and it looks atrociously bad. It's laughable. It's laughably
bad. Because, okay, so I told Anthony, it looks like someone drew a picture of the mask in like MS Paint, and then like superimposed it on top.
Yeah. And Michael curves his head, and it reminded me of that meme of that dude that's like, "Am I a joke to you?" So
it's just terrible.
the
It's
CGI
bad.
mask, never do it again. Please don't ever do the CGI mask again. But then he gets murkled.
True. And he's dead. And his girlfriend is next.
But also they use the little like so when the girlfriend goes to find Charlie, you know, he's dead, and oh my god, he's dead. She sees Michael chases after her, and she goes up the
Like the little doodad.
The little doodad that chefs use to send food up to wherever they need to send food up to.
And she gets away by pulling her, like getting herself up there. But she's like trying to get out, but she's stuck underneath her boyfriend's, because Michael stabbed her. So she's dealing with the stab wound, but she's also trying to get out, and she's trapped underneath her boyfriend's leg, and Michael is sawing at the rope, and so the thing goes to fall. It hits down on her leg. It breaks her leg. It is so freaking nasty. I wrote down, oh no, her leg, how fucking nasty as fuck.
Mangled.
I was like, this looks so gross. And it's like, Michael hears where she is. Her biggest mistake was making any noise.
Yeah, what does he just like stab the crap out of her?
Yeah, and I said the mask is too thin. I hate it.
He stabs the crap out of her. They had an opportunity, and this is where I'm going to be a little critical. I've been being critical this entire time. I love this movie. This is a good movie.
It is good.
They had a good opportunity for a creative kill with the little thing doodad to go up and down for the food, and they didn't use it. They used it on the leg, but that was like it.
Yeah,
and I feel like they could have done more. Yeah, right. Like, I don't know. You gotta be creative, right?
But then, like, John's like, oh, you know, they've been gone for like quite a bit of time. Like, maybe we should go see what they're doing. And he goes, and I said, John.
Yeah.
I said, John, you should have listened to your mom, you dumb fuck. And they get like scared of Michael.
Oh no, yeah. So they see Michael. Well, also Michael sets up that girl's body. He sets up that girl's body
to be
like
terrifying,
super in like.
It reminds me of The Grudge.
Yeah, it was like super intricately set up, and he didn't have a lot of time to do that because they hear basically this girl dying, and they walk up the stairs to the kitchen to see what's up, and it's maybe about 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Michael sets up this very intricate body in 3 minutes. A little unrealistic, but sure.
So he sees Michael.
Again, don't question it. Just have fun.
He sees Michael. He immediately knows what's going on.
Like, oh no,
that's like,
Michael Myers.
I would think, hey, yeah, John, you done fucked up because Mom was right.
I'm Michael Myers.
He gets stabbed in the leg.
Yeah, Michael doesn't like accidentally stab him in the leg or miss. Like, it seemed targeted. Like, Michael looks at him and then stabs him in the leg. He could have stabbed him anywhere else.
I know. He stabs him in the leg. And
Michael straight up tackles him, too. And so
she helps him, like, get out. They're trying to get away from there. And I said, I'd be screaming, murderer, I have been stabbed. I don't understand why they're quietly walking out. Michael's behind, like, Michael's coming anyway. Like, why not just be loud? Murderer.
There's a murderer here.
He stabbed me in the leg. I have a murderer following me. I'm stupid.
So they make it to like this fence, this like gate, and John's girlfriend is gonna lock the gate, but she drops the keys. So Michael walks up to the gate and like starts slashing through the gate like a maniac with his knife, which you said, why not throw the knife? And I was like, well, then he doesn't have a knife.
But I'm like, if you really wanted to kill, ding, knife throw.
But then he doesn't have a knife.
I guess.
But then Michael like is about to get the keys, and they're like, oh crap, he's gonna kill us.
They're obviously yelling, screaming.
And then Laurie opens the door and lets them in.
Yeah, and she goes eye to eye with her brother.
Face to face with Michael, which is a really cool, I would say that's a pretty iconic shot. Even though like H2O is like not a super memorable movie, but that shot, I think a lot of people know that shot of them looking face to face through the window.
And like they're like, what do we do? And Laurie says,
try to survive.
Try to live.
Yeah. Well, because she gives Will, her boyfriend, the gun, and he's like, "Who is that?" And she's like, "My brother." And
What do? We try to live.
Try to live. And so they tell John and Molly to hide, which they do. And they think they see Michael coming up from the stairwell. And it's like so obviously, like, is Will seeing hallucinations of Michael too? Because it was so obviously Michael's shadow. But then he starts shooting at him like a maniac, and it ends up being the security guard.
I was like, did they just kill this security guy?
Well, then they see him laying in a pool of his own blood, and they're like, "Oh no, Ronnie, sorry, guy."
There he is. Michael is there, so they probably did see Michael's shadow.
Yeah. Michael comes behind Will and stabs him in the back so
and does
hard,
that thing where he lifts him
up from the back without bending his butcher knife, which is an incredible feat of strength. Also, probably impossible, but without bending the butcher knife.
Oh yeah, we've talked about this.
Yeah, you would bend that crap.
Like, it's just like that was like.
And then Will starts like seizuring,
and she's getting.
I'm like,
and Laurie's character is getting like full of like blood and stuff. And I said, so Laurie, like, she's running away. She's getting blood everywhere. She gets blood on this door and all over the handle of the door. And this is so obviously a trap.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, either Michael is so dumb.
But he's not dumb.
But he falls for like the obvious trap.
Which is the bloody, like, door.
The obvious door where there's blood on the handle and blood on the door frame.
He starts breaking down the door, and there's nothing in there.
There's nothing in there.
Yeah.
And she comes up behind him and...
whacks him a few times?
Yeah, whacks him with the fire extinguisher.
Right. And then, so she gets out. Laurie leaves, takes the kids. They get to a car. They do that very cliched, like, car won't start. We're trying to run the engine. And Michael's walking up slowly to the car.
They get away, though.
They get away, and they make it to the gate. And Laurie opens the gate. And she's about to get in the car to drive off, and then, which changes the trajectory of the climax of the movie, because you think like the smart thing to do would be just to leave.
But again, just like Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein had to confront his monster, Laurie feels the need to confront her monster.
So she tells them to leave,
and
Molly drives off, and she destroys the panel to open up the gate. So she locks herself in with Michael Myers. And it's this really cool moment of like, yeah, we're going to get this like this moment between the two of them, this like face off that's people have been waiting for 20 years, because we were supposed to get that in Halloween 2, but then she's in the freaking hospital the entire time. So Laurie makes it back to I don't know where they were, some kind of like common area, like a cafeteria type place, and
he comes down.
Oh yeah, he does that thing, right?
And I swear he does it in the Rob Zombie movies.
We're gonna rewatch.
I know. So I swear he does that in another movie.
He does that. He does do that in another movie. I don't know which one.
One-arm release from the ceiling.
Well, okay, so
that takes.
Michael's a tall dude. So it's like he needed to be scrunched up, like one armed, holding himself up, like in a cradled position, so that Laurie wouldn't see him.
And do you know how much strength it takes to
just lower yourself down
slowly with one arm? He has to be able to lift like twice his body weight.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even do a pull-up.
Oh, dude,
with both arms.
Crazy. It's impossible to do what Michael had done in that scene. Well, it's got to be impossible. No, unless you're like a contortionist or you're very flexible.
Like Olympic gymnasts
like a parkour
could do it.
Guy could probably do it.
Olympic gymnasts, because they do like the.
Well, I'm not saying just lift yourself down. I'm saying like he was unseen and the ceiling wasn't that high off the ground from Laurie, so he had to have been like monkey flipped, like in a cradled position, holding on to the rafters, so that
to be a fly on the wall at that moment, right?
Yeah. It's got to be impossible.
She runs to like where there's like a bunch of tables, and chairs.
Tables.
My tables.
What's her job?
What's her job? Tables.
Tables.
She's making a ton of noise. And there aren't any good places to hide.
Oh, Michael is like super nimble in this movie and like doesn't make a sound anytime he walks and somehow gets on top of a table without making any noise.
And she's like so loud. So loud.
Oh yeah.
And under a table, like it's not a good hiding place. So they play
so
like
this was a scene as well that was written for Halloween 5. So we'll notice, like, as we progress throughout these movies, that they have like all of these different scripts for all of these different Halloween movies, and they kind of pick and choose what to take and apply to future movies. So the table scene was something that was written for Halloween 5 initially that they scrapped, and it was supposed to be Jamie doing the table thing.
Which would have made more sense because she's a child.
Right. Exactly. It would have made more sense. I liked it still.
Jaime Lee Curtis is an adult woman trying to disappear underneath tables.
I still liked it.
I mean, it was
liked
good.
That scene.
Like she gets like.
I just don't believe that Michael couldn't have just killed her right away as she's like slowly moving through under the tables.
I guess that's the unbelievable part. She gets to like a flagpole and it snaps in half, and she, instead of stabbing.
Well, she did stab him.
She did stab him, but instead of stabbing him again,
she throws it at him.
She throws it at him. I'm like, what? I said, missed opportunity to stab him.
Oh, yeah.
I said, stab fast. Stab fast. Run away.
And stab hard. And then she makes her way to the kitchen, and she starts throwing butcher knives at Michael.
I'm missing.
And it's such a cool scene, but Michael is just like... and like moving his head really quickly to sides, like Ultra Instinct Michael Myers, or what is it, observation hockey if you're a One Piece fan. But he's like moving his head, and I'm moving my head so I don't get hit with the knives.
But okay, so this is the scene where she stabs Michael.
Yes, eventually
he misses her like so much. And she just keeps nailing him, right? I'm like, Michael would have gotten her at least once.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
But she got him like a bunch of times, and LL Cool J comes out of nowhere. He's like, he dead.
No. So she stabs him like a crap ton, and then he falls off the balcony onto a table. But we know, based on pro wrestling rules, the table always cushions the fall.
And so she goes down. Yeah, I jumped the gun there. She goes down, and she's just like checking to make sure
he's dead.
And then
But I don't know, because it's like, why would you believe that he's dead? Like, this is a guy who allegedly burned alive, and like,
I mean, we can just hope. But we get a kind of like a jump scare with LL Cool J coming back.
Who were like, how did you not die?
He's like, the bullet just grazed my head.
It grazed my head.
And he's alive.
Like, yeah, you were laying in a pool of blood. It grazed your head.
I'm gonna be honest though, that could the head, it bleeds the most.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got hit in the head with a baseball bat when I was in 8th grade. I bled so much, like a puddle, and it was not a deep wound at all.
I wrote this down. I'm so glad I read my notes right here, because we missed a very important thing that we're talking about. So when Michael and Laurie are fighting, and before she stabs him, she kicks him in the nuts.
Oh yeah, and we were like, "How dare thou kick me in nuts?"
He just takes it. No, like, does Michael have?
Maybe he cut off genitals? his own. Maybe he cut off his own nuts, saying, "I'm not going to be weakened by my genitalia. I'm just going to cut off the nut, so I don't have to deal with that."
We have to. I don't know, because
he wants to make himself the strongest possible.
Michael didn't have any reaction to getting hit by the nuts, other than like slight annoyance.
Oh yeah, he was pissed. He was like, "How dare thou hit me in the nuts?"
So the final little moments of the movie, the ambulance arrives and everyone's being tended to and taken care of. The coroner zips up Michael in the body bag and puts him into the ambulance, and Laurie says, No, not today, Junior." And
she kidnaps Michael.
She steals the gun from the officer's holster and sticks them up and says, "Don't move." She takes the axe and she steals the ambulance, and they're like, "Mom, what are you doing?" She's like, "Shut up." And she steals the ambulance and just starts speeding away off campus. Meanwhile, the body bag starts moving, rustling around, and it opens up, and Michael is alive, and he gets out of the body bag, and he kind of goes towards Laurie, and then the car crashes, and it starts tumbling down a hill, and Laurie survives. Crazy. Survives.
But he's impaled.
Michael is impaled against a branch of a tree, like waist impaled between the car and the tree. And Laurie takes the axe and she looks at him, and he like really weirdly like reaches for his mask and is like kind of confused, and then looks at Laurie and extends his hand like, "Oh, my sister." And Laurie looks at him and extends her hand and looks like she's gonna have like a very like emotional moment with her brother, and then we get, and she chops his freaking head off,
and everything was right with the world,
and that was like the ending that everybody wanted. Nobody wanted that BS ending of like Laurie just like survives and that's it.
No,
and
you
Michael
want
maybe
Laurie
is alive
to get her revenge.
Yes. So this is a good segue, because the original title of the movie was Halloween: The Revenge of Laurie Strode. And for whatever reason, they changed it to H20, which everybody thought the movie was going to take place underwater, which would have been cool.
You know, that would have made sense. Why is it H20?
Halloween 20 years, H20. So
remind me of the mermaid show, H2O, just add water.
Yeah. So let me tell you about some stuff that was changed in the climax of the original script from
I've closed my notes because I'm done with my notes.
Pretty much just one thing was super notably different, and that was so the school in this current version of the movie is empty. Everyone goes to Yosemite. School's virtually a ghost town, right? And it's a good way, I thought, for them to get everybody out of there and just have it very tight and focused on our main cast. It's a great way to just get all of the noise out and get all of these background characters out of there. The original version, the Kevin Williamson version of the movie, was going to be, instead of them going to Yosemite, it was going to be a big dance at the school. And no kills were going to happen at the dance, but once they figured out Michael was on campus, they were going to evacuate the school via helicopter. And once Michael gets to the helicopter, he kills the pilot, and the guidance counselor, Will Brennan, out of desperation, tries to pilot the helicopter with all the kids on it, and he crashes it, and all of them die.
How terrible.
That was in the original version of the movie. So he had a larger body count than Michael Myers.
Jeez.
Yeah, Jesus. Right.
You're trying just to help and you end up killing everybody.
So the production history of this movie is probably the most smooth since the first one, of like, they really learned their lesson after 6 about like, if the script is there, you don't mess with it any further, because they didn't really change a lot about the final shooting script, and it kind of just was paper to screen. It was very smooth, and there was not a lot of production hiccups along the way. They added that scene when they were shooting with the gate, because the director or the writer, one of the two, said that was an actual situation that they went through. They got mugged, and they closed the gate and they dropped the keys outside of the gate, and they were just like really worried that the attacker was going to get the keys and open the gate and get them. So he translated that to
terrifying.
Yeah, translated that to a very scary scene in a movie. But other than that, very, very smooth sailing on the movie. The only hiccup in the movie was a very tense, or what has been described as a very tense, confrontation between Jaime Lee Curtis and the producer Mustafa Akkad, because Jaime Lee said, "I'm only coming back if I get to kill Michael Myers." Mustafa Akkad said, "There's no way in hell we kill Michael Myers. He is our cash cow. There's no way in hell he stays dead." And Jamie Lee's like, "Well, why am I even coming back then? If we can't kill Michael, like, why am I here?" So they struck a deal to say, you get your kill in H2O, but you have to set it up in a way where it's possible for Michael to come back in the next movie. And Jamie Lee said, okay. So what they ended up with, and if we want to, do we want to spoil it or save it for the next movie?
Save it for the next one.
Save it for the next movie. We can do that as well, because there is a resolution that comes in Resurrection.
And I honestly, with this movie, it's not bad.
No.
So we get, I mean,
we're critical, but we're critical out of love, because this is actually like not half bad. It's
the same reason why, like, as we go in with the Jurassic Park franchise, I will get more critical, not because I don't love it. Like, I love it all. I love it all. But
we're critical because we love it.
But when you love something, especially, I reread the Jurassic Park books since, like, because when I was just like reviewing the book when we were going over the first and second, but like before we do the third video, I wanted to make sure, like, I really reread the book, and that was a perfect way to start 2022, because my goal this year is to read 30 books, so it was a good way to start my 30 book journey, is reviewing a book.
Sure. Yeah.
So when you love something, you're really gonna be critical of what you love.
Mm-hmm. By God, do I love the Halloween franchise? And
by God,
some of it's not great, but I'll eat this stuff up, man. Mm-hmm. I'll eat it up. So Brie, question for you before we get out of here for the evening. Question? My question: does this movie make it on your list of the top 100 movies?
It doesn't. Unfortunately, it's good. It's good, but you have to be really good to make it on that list.
Got to be in the echelon, right? The top echelon.
Like, does it get an honorable mention? Sure, you should go. You should watch this movie. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I would completely agree. This movie does not make it on my list. I'm saving a future Halloween movie for the list, because I think, as we get into the next couple, I'm gonna go out on a limb, Brie, and I'm gonna say those movies ain't gonna make it on this list. However, we'll save that judgment for the review. But no, I don't think that this movie makes it on the list, and not for a good showing, right? Like,
it tried its hardest.
It tried its darndest, but there are, like, I don't know how to describe it, because it's like, I do like this movie and it's a fun movie, but there are some things where I'm like, I don't want to use the word unforgivable, because that's a little too harsh. But there's some things that I can't look past.
I can't look past continuity errors.
And I can't look past the freaking mask.
Oh, no.
All 4 versions of that mask.
I can't get over, I guess, the MS Paint version of the mask.
Yeah. There's some things where it's like, this movie is great, and the writers did a good job. I'm glad they brought in Kevin Williamson, even though this movie is like very watered down Scream to an extent. It tries very hard to be Scream, but I love it. I love it. It's good. Honorable mention for sure. Does not make it on the list of the top 100. Unfortunately, it does not. So, with that being said, Brie, we will be back on the next episode for Halloween Resurrection, the last of the Dimension films before we get into our remakes, reboots, and requels.
Yay for us.
We
will be breaking it up, of course, like we always do.
So we'll do Resurrection, and then we'll hit them with... I was looking at you for this one.
Oh, Jurassic Park 3.
Jurassic Park 3. We'll get them with Jurassic Park 3.
And you're going to love it, because, I really... when I reread Jurassic Park book, I was like, wow, they took like a ton of stuff from the book and put it into 3. So you're in for a treat.
Yes. As always, you can follow us on all of our social media accounts. You can follow myself at GLDTV1 on Twitter. You can follow us at review_pod on Instagram. And you can email us at whatever our email is on the show notes in the description. You can also what was our other one? YouTube. Yeah, if you're not watching on our video modem.
Not that you want to see. I just came from the gym, so I look sweaty and gross. But if you want to see Anthony's beautiful face, you can come on over to YouTube.
Yes, our video modem is good too. Review podcast on YouTube. You can follow us there. Thank you for joining, and always come back. Write us in an email if you want us to review anything, or if you want to just shoot us some questions that we can address on the pod. And if you want us to do anything in particular, I've been toying around with, we both like wrestling. We could review like a pay-per-view or something later on. Review is open to anything to review.
We are really going to focus on, special episodes of review.
Yes, we will have never mind. I'm thinking because this is a delayed release.
I'm thinking like we'll probably have a review of like a kind of like a St. Patrick's Day-ish movie coming up.
I know the perfect one.
Then of course I'm like, let's get a St. Patrick's Day, let's get an Easter, let's get
all the holidays.
Let's get a 4th of July and do special releases on those days. So you catch holiday releases, and some of them might be scary because
I have a perfect idea for you, and I'm gonna run it by you right here, right now, live on the podcast.
Okay, live on the pod.
Disney's The Luck of the Irish.
I love that movie.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Review Luck of the Irish.
All right, cool.
And we do have Disney Plus, so we will have that movie.
Luck of the Irish.
Okay.
Great. Thank you for joining us on the Review
always
podcast.
love having you.
Brie signing off. That is Brie signing off me. This is Anthony.
Adios,
thank you,
amigos.
and we'll be back next week. Review closing song.
Review podcast. Review podcast.